Hi happy crocheters, this is Lindsay from windingroadcrochet.com and today I'm going to show you how to crochet this hooded scarf. If you like this tutorial, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. So let's go ahead and get started. For this, you're going to need 624 yards of a size 4 yarn, or roughly 12 ounces. I am using the Red Heart with Love. Just because that's what I like. It's nice and soft. You're going to need a pair of scissors. You're going to need a size 5.5 millimeter or size I crochet hook. You'll need a yarn needle and about a 2-inch diameter button. So to get started, we're going to make a slip knot and start our chain. This is a asymmetrical scarf, so we're going to start with the hood and then add the scarf to one side of it. To make the hood, you are going to chain 48. And the neat thing about this scarf being asymmetrical is the scarf is all on one side of the hood. You can wrap it around your neck once or twice, and then you can use the button to hold the scarf in place. So when you complete your chain, you're just going to double crochet into the third chain from the hook. And then just so you know, I do not count my turning chain as a stitch. And I also like to work into the back bumps of the chain, but this is optional. You don't have to. It takes a little longer, but for this point, it's not super important, but later I do think it makes it look a little nicer. But I'm just going to double crochet in each chain along this row. When I reach the end of the row, we are going to go ahead and turn our work, and we are going to work down the opposite side of our chain. So we are working both sides of our hood at the same time. So you just yarn over, go into that exact same chain, create your double crochet. So it's like putting 2 double crochet into that last chain. And then working down the opposite side, we'll just continue double crocheting into the opposite side of each chain. You will have a total of 92 double crochet when you're done with row 1. So we've completed row 1, and you can see how we've worked on both sides of the chain. Now we're just going to chain 2. And we're going to double crochet in every single stitch across this row. And we're going to repeat this row until we have a total of 23 rows. When you reach the end of row 2, we're just going to repeat the row. So we are going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to turn our work, and again just double crochet in each stitch of this row. And just repeat this row until you have a total of 23 rows, and your hood should naturally make a hood shape and be folded in half. So here I am finishing up row 23, and the next thing we're going to do is an optional row where we're going to single crochet across the edge of these rows. That's just going to give us a really clean look to the edge of our hood. It is completely optional. Feel free to skip this row. You are going to chain 1 to do this row. I'm going to insert my hook into this hole at the top of the stitch and create a single crochet. Now I'm going to insert my hook into kind of the in between the 2 legs at the bottom of the stitch and create another crochet. And I am going to continue working 2 single crochet into the side of every double crochet all the way down the sides of these double crochet. So I actually will end up with a total of 92 single crochets before I hit the other side of my hood. Again, this is optional. If you're a beginner, I would definitely say skip this, but if you're comfortable with this, it does give you a really nice look. So keep doing this along every row that we've currently worked on the hood. So here's what it looks like when we reach the end of our optional row and how nice of a clean edge we get. Now we're going to make our scarf, and we're going to do this by extending this row with a chain, and then we'll work back along that chain. So to get started making your scarf, you are going to chain 212 chains. I know that's a lot. Feel free to chain out, say 50, and then mark it with a stitch marker. That way if you lose your spot, you can always come back to that mark instead of having to start over. Once you've completed your chain, we are going to double crochet into the third chain from the hook. Remember that turning chain does not count as a stitch. I am working into the back loops of my chains just because this is going to be a finished edge and it is going to look nicer if you can work into the back loops. But again, if you're a beginner, this is optional and you just do what is best for you. We're going to go ahead and work a double crochet into every single chain until we reach our hood again. Once we've reached our hood, so we have our scarf worked, we're going to need to continue working into the top of all the double crochets from the hood. So we're just completing this row by working along the hood as well. If you work that optional row, you do have the option to work a double crochet into the side of the single crochet, but you're just going to work this all the way around. And then as I said, if you work that optional row, you can work one more double crochet into the side of that single crochet just to have a nice smooth edge there. But now we're going to go ahead and start doing a repeat row. We're going to start the main body of our scarf. And for the body of the scarf, we're going to chain 2 and turn. And this time we're going to double crochet into the back loops only. So what you will do is push your hook down the center of this V that the top of the stitch creates and go out just the back, so only one loop is over the hook, and then you just complete your double crochet. Continue working double crochets in the back loop only all the way down your scarf, and we're going to repeat this row until we have a total of 27 rows. So when you reach the end of row 25, we're just going to chain 2, turn, and repeat that row twice more, always working in the back loops only. Working in the back loops gives our scarf a really pretty ribbed texture. Again, if you're a beginner, you don't have to work in the back loops only if you don't want to. It's completely okay to change it up a little bit. So I just finished up row 27. We're about to start row 28, which is basically the same row, except for we're going to put in some buttonholes. Now I've marked where I want my buttonholes with a stitch marker, and I'm going to give you the stitch counts to place them in the same spot, but feel free to try on your scarf and decide where you want to put your buttonholes. So all we've done is chain 2, and we are going to work double crochets in the back loop only of the first 50 stitches. Once we've worked 50 stitches, and you can see I hit my first stitch marker, I am going to chain 3, and then I'm going to skip 3 stitches and continue working double crochets in the back loops for the next 131 stitches. Now I am using a 2-inch button. If you are using a smaller button, you may choose to chain 2 and skip 2 stitches, or even just chain 1 and skip 1 stitch. Completely up to you. And it's always good to go ahead and take your button and just to make sure it fits in the buttonhole as well. But after that first buttonhole, we're just going to continue working until we've worked another 131 stitches. So we've reached my second buttonhole, and I'm just going to chain 3. We are going to skip 3 stitches just like the last one. And then we're just going to double crochet in the back loops only all the way down the rest of the scarf. Make sure it's double crochets, not half double crochets. The way I've worked my buttonholes is that I have placed 1 so that right after the scarf crosses the front of you, it can button in place and hang over the back of your shoulder. Or you can wrap the scarf around your neck again and then button it in place and let the end hang over your shoulder. But the button just keeps everything in place so the scarf doesn't fall off of you. So here I am at the end of row 28. I'm ready to work rows 29 through 32. So it's just 4 more rows, and all these rows are is working double crochets into the back loop only all the way across the row. Now in row 29, you're going to have to work into each stitch as well as into each chain when you reach the buttonhole chains. But otherwise, you're just working a few more rows back and forth all the way across the scarf. Just remember to continue working in the back loops only so that we continue getting that interesting rib texture. So here I am. I just reached the end of the last row. This is row 32. You can see how that nice ribbing looks really nice on our scarf and just makes it stand out from the hood a little bit. All we need to do now is fasten off. Now I did have to change skeins halfway through the scarf, so I do have about, at the moment, 4 ends to weave in. And we're just going to gain 2 more as we put on the button. And let me show you where we're adding our button. So we want to place the button on the side of our hood that does not have the long scarf, but you do want to turn your hood inside out so that that side is on the side you would like to have the button on. So I'm putting the button over my right shoulder, so it's positioned where I want it right now. And all I'm going to do at this point is just put it right pretty close to the edge of the hood, and I'm going to sew it in place. So now just grab a yarn needle, make sure it will fit through your button, and we're just going to sew our button on. I'm going to use 4 stitches to secure this nice big button. Once your button is sewn on, I like to take my starting end and my ending end and knot them 3 or 4 times, and then I'll just weave those ends in. So there you have it. Weave in all your ends and your Wanderer's hooded scarf is completely done. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and found it useful, and thank you as always so much for watching.